राधा कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदन यमुना तीरवनचारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। जय राधा जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम हरे हरे हरिहराय नमः कृष्ण यादवाय नमः यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः। हरिहराय नमः कृष्ण यादवाय नमः यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः। गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री कृष्ण गिरिधारी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन। गोपाल गोविंद राम श्री मधुसूदन गिरिधारी गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन। श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गीता हरि गुरु वैष्णव भगवत गीता। श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गीता हरि गुरु वैष्णव भगवत गीता। श्री रूप भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ, श्री जीवा गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ।
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम राम।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी, नयन पथगामी भारत में।
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी, नयन पथगामी भाव तुम्हें।
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी, नयन पथगामी भारत में।
जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पथगामी, नयन पथगामी भाव तुम्हें।
निताय गौर हरि।
निताय गौरांगो, निताय गौरांगो, निताय गौरांगो गौर हरि।
जय सचिनंदन जय सचिनंदन जय सचिनंदन गौर हरि।
जय सचिनंदन जय सचिनंदन, जय सचिनंदन गौर हरि।
सति जपम सति जपम सति जपम गौर हरि।
पतित पावाना पतित पावाना, पतित पावाना गौर हरि।
जय जय प्रभु प्रभु प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद।
जय जय प्रभुपाद, प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय जय प्रभुपाद।
जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव।
जय जय गुरुदेव, गुरुदेव गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव।
नित्य गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, नित्य गौर हरि बोल।
नित्य गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, नित्य गौर हरि बोल। की जय, श्रील गुरुदेव की जय।
ओके। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे प्लीज रिपीट आफ्टर मी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्ग्रहे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गौ ब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमः ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे कृष्ण श्री वैष्णव हरे कृष्णा Prabhujis and Matajis Danvat Pranam. Thank you for joining the class. Uh, so, uh, so please accept my humble obeisances. I am not qualified to do this, but as a service, we'll today read Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we are going to discuss chapter 3 of Canto 5. So the name of the chapter is titled Rishabdev's appearance in the womb of Meru Devi. the wife of King Nabhi. So King Nabhi is the eldest son of Priyavrata, and we saw the story of Priyavrata in the last two chapters. And sorry, not Priyavrata. I'm extremely sorry. Is the eldest son of Agnidhara, the son of Priyavrata, and King Nabhi is the eldest son of Agnidhara. And in the last canto, we have seen the story of the eldest son of Manu, Uttanapad, and Priyavrata is the second son of Swayambhu Manu. And then the lineage of Priyavrata is getting discussed in this fifth canto. And as we saw, uh, uh, that there are 10 sons, and then King Nabhi is the eldest son. So we will discuss about uh, uh, King about Agnidhara, and how Rishabdev, who is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared in the womb of Meru Devi. So this chapter is actually so King Nabhi actually performs sacrifices and austerities to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then the Supreme Personality of Godhead gets is pleased with the sacrifices offered by King Agnidhara, and he sorry, by King Nabhi, and he decides to appear in the womb of Meru Devi as Rishabdev. And then this canto, if we look at it, will then describe the activities of Rishabdev. So the next four chapters are about the appearance of Rishabdev, then the characteristics of Rishabdev, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then the teachings, and finally the activities of Lord Rishabdev. So first, in this chapter, we are discussing about the appearance of Rishabdev. And this chapter specifically talks about how the Supreme Personality of Godhead actually appeared. And so King Nabhi was performing the sacrifice along with the priest, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears there in the arena of the sacrifices, and then the priest actually offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and those prayers are what is mostly described in this chapter. So we'll start with this and read the purports and the translations. So in this chapter, there are only 20 shlokas, and if you look at it, the translations or the shlokas itself are pretty big, and the translations are also pretty big. And Prabhupada has, as usual, given very nice purports and how about the process of bhakti, and how only bhakti can please the Supreme Lord. And also this chapter also clearly describes that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because King Nabhi was a devotee of the Lord, that he decided to appear in the sacrifice, in the arena of the sacrifice. So let's get started. I would want one of you to read the translation, and then we can have a small discussion on each of these shloka. So anybody would want to read the
Hare
translation
Krishna
for this
Prabhuji,
first?
I'll read.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Translation. Sukadeva Goswami continued to speak. Maharaj Nabhi, the son of Agnitra, wished to have sons, and therefore he attentively began to offer prayers and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the master and enjoyer of all sacrifices. Maharaja Nabhi's wife, Meru Devi, who had not given birth to any children at that time, also worshipped Lord Vishnu along with her husband.
Thank you, Mataji. So this first shloka starts with that Maharaj Nabhi wanted to have a son, and then so he started worshipping Lord Vishnu. You can see the word which is used for Lord Vishnu is Yagna Purusham, because he is the master and enjoyer of all performance of sacrifices, right? So the Supreme Lord is described as a Yagna Purusham, and that all the sacrifices which are performed, the ultimate benefactor and master and the enjoyer of all these sacrifices is Lord Vishnu, right? So we can see any ceremony we do, we invoke Lord Vishnu, right? Bhagavan Vishnu Mangalam, right? And when we do the marriages, this is how it is started, right? So Lord Vishnu is the one who is the master and enjoyer of all performances of sacrifice. Satyadev Prabhuji, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, translation. In the performance of sacrifice, there are 7 transcendental means to obtain the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. 1. By sacrificing valuable things or eatables. Number 2. By acting in terms of place. Number 3. By acting in terms of time. Number 4. By offering hymns. Number 5. By going through the priest. Number 6, by offering gifts to the priest. And number 7, by observing the regulative principles. However, one cannot always obtain the Supreme Lord through this paraphernalia. Nonetheless, the Lord is affectionate to his devotees. Therefore, when Maharaj Nabi, who was a devotee, worshipped and offered prayers to the Lord with a great faith and devotion, and with a pure, uncontaminated mind, superficially performing some yajna in the line of pra, prava, uh,
Pravargya.
Pravargya, the kind of Supreme Personality of Godhead, due to his affection for his devotees, appeared before King Nabi. His unconquerable and captivating from form with 4 hands. In this way, to fulfill the desire of his devotees, the Supreme Personality of Godhead manifested himself in his beautiful body before his devotee. This body pleases the mind and eyes of the devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. So we'll read the purport also for this. There is a small purport. I'll do that. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschashmi tatvata tato mam tatvato jnatva vishate tad anantaram. One can understand the Supreme Personality as he is only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Bhagavad Gita 18.55. One can understand and see the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the process of devotional service and not in any other way. Although Maharaja Nabhi performed prescribed duties and sacrifices, it should still be considered that the Lord appeared before him not due to his sacrifices, but because of his devotional service. It was for this reason that the Lord agreed to appear before him in his beautiful bodily features. As stated in Brahma Samhita 5.30, the Supreme Lord in his original nature is very beautiful. Venum Kwantanam Arvinda Dalalaya Kshatam Brahma Barha Vata Vatam Sham Asitam Buddham Sundarangam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, although blackish, is very, very beautiful. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we can see that in this shloka, there are 7 things which are mentioned by which the Supreme Personality, we can obtain the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one of them is like sacrificing valuable things or eatables. Acting in terms of places, basically performing this sacrifice in a holy place. Acting in terms of time is by performing it in Brahma Murata or in appropriate time. Offering hymns is offering Vedic hymns. Going through the priest is by making sure that the priests are honored and the sacrifices is performed by inviting proper priest and making sure that they perform the sacrifice. Then by pleasing the priest by giving them gifts. So without pleasing the Brahmanas, you cannot get the benefits of any sacrifice. If the Brahmanas are not pleased, the results of the sacrifices cannot be obtained. and 7 by observing the regulative principles. Again, this is what is about purity. By if you don't observe regulative principles, so it is for both of them, the one who is performing the sacrifice and the one who is actually who has decided to do the who has decided to host the sacrifice, right? So it is the both of them have to perform the proper regulative principles, like they should not eat and other things. So there are the Vedas describe these in very much detail of what should be done before doing any sacrifice, and it they have to be done it in that way. Then only you can obtain the results of the sacrifice. But the most important point is the Supreme Lord. I mean, you cannot always obtain the Supreme Lord through this paraphernalia. He will only come if you are a devotee of the Lord. He will be only pleased when a devotee performs a sacrifice. So that is the most important thing here. That unless and until we become a devotee of the Lord, we cannot obtain His mercy, and that is what is mentioned here very, very clearly. And Prabhupada has given that purport and explained that point here. So because King Nabhi was a great devotee of the Lord, and Pravargya means according to the Karma Kanda way, right? In the line of Pravargya. So here, if you look into this, it is mentioned in this shloka, Pravargya. The word Pravargya comes here. I am not able to find it. We'll see. We'll see that it comes again later in the
Second time, Prabhuji, second time.
Okay.
Second.
Sorry, Pravageshu. While the fruitative activity is called Pravargya, right? So this is what it means. Fruitative activities, right? So he wanted a result, right? He wanted the result of having a son, right? So that's like a fruitative activity. So he was performing that yajna for this purpose, but because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because King Nabhi was a devotee, the Lord was pleased and he decided to appear before him, even for gaining benefits out of fruitative activities. Because King Nabhi was a devotee, he appeared in his sacrificial arena, right? So we'll move ahead. Shloka 3.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Translations only, right, Prabhu?
Yeah, we'll read the translations. Prabhuji, the shlokas are very difficult for us to read.
Sure, Prabhu, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Lord Vishnu appeared before King Nabhi with 4 arms. He was very bright and he appeared to be the best of all personalities. Around the lower portion of his body, he wore a yellow silken garment. On his chest was the mark of Srivatsa, which always displays beauty. He carried a conch shell, lotus flower, disc, and club, and he wore a garland of forest flowers and the Kaustubha gem. He was beautifully decorated with a helmet, earrings, bangles, belt, pearl necklace, armlets, ankle bells, and other bodily ornaments bedecked with radiant jewels. Seeing the Lord present before them, King Nabhi and his priests and associates felt just like poor people who have suddenly attained great riches. They received the Lord and respectfully bent their heads and offered him things in worship.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So you want to read the purport also, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I can, Prabhu.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, it is distinctly mentioned here that the Supreme Personality of Godhead did not appear as an ordinary human being. He appeared before King Nabhi and his associates as the best of all personalities, Purushottama. As stated in the Vedas, Nityo Nityanam Chetanasi Chetanam, Kadha Upanishad. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is also a living being, but he is the supreme living being. In Bhagavad Gita 7.7, Lord Krishna himself says, Matta Parataram Nyanya Kinchid Asti Dhananjaya, O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna. There is no truth superior to me. No one is more attractive or more authoritative than Lord Krishna. That is one of the differences between God and an ordinary living being. According to the description of the transcendental body of Lord Vishnu, the Lord can easily be distinguished from all other living beings. Consequently, Maharaja Nabhi and his priests and associates all offered the Lord obeisances and began to worship him with various things. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 6.22, Yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tataha. That is, upon gaining this, one thinks that there is no greater gain. When one realizes God and sees the Lord face to face, one certainly thinks that he has gained the best of all things. Rasopi asya param drishtva nivartate. When one experiences a higher taste, his consciousness is fixed, and after seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one ceases to be attracted by anything material. One then remains steady in his worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So we can see that the Lord has appeared and innumerable times in Srimad Bhagavatam. You can see there is a very detailed description of how the Supreme Lord looks, right? Very, very detailed descriptions. Always you will see that that it is mentioned that what kind of clothes he is wearing, what is he wearing, what kind of flower garland he is wearing, what is he holding. Since he is carrying a conch shell, lotus flower, disc and club. So what he's holding in his hands are mentioned. As I said, right, he's wearing a garland of forest flowers and a kaustubha gem. So this is mentioned many times, right? Even when and you can see that it is mentioned by different people, right? Many times, like for example, in 10th canto also, when Lord Brahma sees Lord Krishna, he describes how is he looking. Then how the Brahma Patni is there when they look at Krishna, they describe how they see him. Then when the gopis see Lord Krishna, they describe how he's looking. And similarly here also we can see that the priest are looking at the Supreme Lord, and the description of how the Lord is looking is given. And this will come many times, that how the Lord looks. The point here is that again, as Prabhupada mentions in the purport, that the Supreme Lord is a person. He's not an impersonal, or he's not without form. And that is what is hammered again and again and again in Srimad Bhagavatam. That point is hammered so many times. And but still some people think that the Supreme Lord is formless. So nothing can be so unfortunate when you can see such detailed descriptions of how the Lord looks, and what is his form is described, and we can clearly see is different from all other living entities. You cannot become or look like Supreme Personality of Godhead. So and that's the point here in the purport which Prabhupada is making, that the Supreme Lord is easily distinguished from all other living beings. So and he is very attractive, and one who gets the darshan of the Lord loses all material attractions, and then he becomes steady in the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, it doesn't mean that we only have to only when we get the darshan of the Lord will become steady. No, that's a direct consequence. But we can have darshan of the Lord in very different ways, right? If you chant, you are having a darshan of the Lord. If you are going to the temple, you are having the darshan of the Lord. So the Lord is so I would say merciful, that you can have his darshan in so many ways. You can see around, and you can have his darshan in many things. So somebody who has a vision can have a darshan at any time, and then that is what we will be. Once you get attracted to that darshan, you will not be attracted to anything material, right? Let's move on. Shloka 4 and 5. Anybody would want to read the translation?
Yes, Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
The priest began to offer prayers to Lord, saying, "O most worshipable one, we are simply your servants. Although you are full in yourself, please, out of your causeless mercy, accept a little service from us, your eternal servant." We are not actually aware of your transcendental form, but we can simply offer our respectable obeisances again and again, as instructed by the Vedic literatures and authorized acharyas. Materialistic living entities are very much attracted to the modes of material nature, and therefore they are never perfect, but you are above the jurisdiction of all material conceptions. Your name, form, and qualities are all transcendental and are beyond the conception of experimental knowledge. Indeed, you who can conceive of you. In the material world, we can perceive only material names and qualities. We have no other power to offer our respectable obeisances and prayers unto you, the transcendental person. The chanting of your auspicious transcendental qualities will wipe out all the sins of the mankind. That is the most auspicious activity for us, and we can thus partially understand your supernatural positions.
Do you want to read first paragraph of the purport?
Purport also we have to read. Okay, Prabhu, no
We'll
problem.
read the purport. Prabhuji. There is a very good description here.
Okay, Prabhu. The supreme purport. The supreme personality of Godhead has nothing to do with material perception. Even the impersonalist Shankaracharya says Narayana Paro Vyakta. Narayana, the supreme personality of Godhead, is beyond the material conception. We cannot conquer the form and attributes of supreme personality of Godhead. We must simply accept the description given in the Vedic scriptures about the Lord form and activities as stated in Brahma Samhita 5.29. Chintamani prakara sadma kalpa vriksha lakshawritesh surabhira vipalayantam Lakshmi sahasra sata sambrama sevamana Govindamani Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the premier Lord, the first progenitor, who is who is tending the cows, yielding all desires in the abode, built with spiritual gems and surrounded by the millions of purpose trees. He is always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. We have some conception of the absolute truth, his form, and his attributes simply by reading the descriptions given in the Vedic literature and authoritative statements given by exalted personalities like Brahma, Narada, Sukadev Goswami, and others. Srila Rupa Goswami says, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhaved Graham Indriyai. We cannot conceive the name, the form, and the qualities of Sri Krishna through our material senses. Because of these, other names of the Lord are Adokshaja and Aprakritha, which indicate that he is beyond the material senses. Out of his causeless mercy upon his devotees, the Lord appeared before Maharaja Nabi. Similarly, when we are engaged in the Lord's devotional service, the Lord reveals himself to us. Sevo mukhe hi jivvado swayam eva spurti adha. This is the only way to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktyamam abhijanati yan yavan yas chasmi tattva. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the devotional service. There is no other way. We have to hear from the authorities and from the Shastras and consider the Supreme Lord in terms of their statement. We cannot imagine or conquer forms and attributes of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. So again, in this purport, right, the priest who are offering prayers, they started. They are saying that they are offering their obeisances again and again, and then they are saying that as instructed by the Vedic literatures and authorized acharyas, right? So this is very, very important. We have to follow the Vedic scriptures and authorized acharyas. We cannot do things whimsically on our own. We have to follow. We have to just follow. Nothing more is required beyond this, that we follow the Vedic literature and the authorized. And very important, see, Prabhupada has put a see, this word authorized is very important here. Not anybody, but only authorized acharyas, right? He's not just translating it acharyas, but authorized acharyas, because he knows the situation of Kali Yuga, right? So this word authorized here is very, very important to understand, that we have to follow the authorized acharyas and the Vedic literatures. And also again, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described that he is beyond the material nature, and then we cannot conceive him, and they are again showing their humbleness, that we have no power to offer obeisances. And also they are also confirming that chanting of your auspicious transcendental qualities, right? So the chanting of the names, forms, name, form, and glories of the Lord is recommended everywhere. And the priests are again saying the same point, right? And they are saying that this is the most auspicious activity, that if we chant the glories, chant your glories, chant your name, fame, form, that is the most auspicious activities. So similarly for us, this is what is the process, that we chant the names of the Lord, chant the glories of the Lord, discuss about his form, and that is the most auspicious activity for anybody. That's the purport. And I mean, Prabhupada in this purport is again saying that it is very difficult to conceive of the Supreme Lord, and we can only do it when we chant his name. We can only understand him through devotion. And if we perform devotional service or devotion to the Supreme Lord, we can then understand him. He will reveal himself to us, and then we can understand him about him, right? So that's what Prabhupada is mentioning here. We have to hear from authorities and from the Shastra and consider the Supreme Lord in terms of their statements. So he cannot be understood by experimental knowledge, right? He's beyond experimental knowledge that proves and whatever we say that, right? He's beyond all of that. So only be understood by devotional service. That is the main theme and point of the priest who are offering prayers to the Supreme Lord, right? So you can see it starts with this, right? Rishi Tvij Uchu. So there are multiple priests who are performing the sacrifices, and then they are offering these prayers to the Supreme Lord, right? Let's move on. 5.3.6. I'll read the translation for this. O Supreme Lord, you are full in every respect. You are certainly very satisfied when your devotees offer you prayers with faltering voices and in ecstasy bring you water, twigs bearing new leaves, and newly grown grass. That surely makes you satisfied. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One does not need great wealth, education, or opulence to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one is fully absorbed in love and ecstasy, he need only offer a flower and little water. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayaschati. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. Bhagavad Gita 9.26. The Supreme Lord can be pleased only by devotional service. Therefore, it is said here that the Lord is surely satisfied by devotion and nothing else. Quoting from Gautamiya Tantra, the Hari Bhakta Vilasa states, Tulasi Dala Matrena Jalashaya Chulukena va Vikri Nete Swayam Atmanam Bhaktebhyo Bhakta Vatsalha. Shri Krishna, who is very affectionate towards his devotees, sells himself to a devotee who offers merely a tulsi leaf and a palm full of water. The Supreme Lord is causelessly merciful upon his devotees. So much so that even the poorest of men can offer him a little water and flower in devotion and thus please him. This is due to his affectionate dealings with his devotees. Hare Krishna. So this translation and purport, see, this is the power of bhakti, right? You don't need any qualification. The only qualification is you need to just surrender yourselves and accept the order of the guru, right? There is no other qualification, material qualification. You don't need any wealth, education, or opulence. No, neither even high birth, right? None of those are required to perform bhakti, and that is the power of bhakti. And the Supreme Lord can only be pleased by this, right? A little devotional service, and the Lord sells himself to his devotee, right? You can, this word is mentioned here, right? Sells himself to his devotees, right? We can see this, right? When Lord Shri Krishna took birth in Vrindavan, right? He used to dance for the gopis, right? For what? For just a small cup of buttermilk, right? The gopis used to make him dance for that small cup of buttermilk, and the Lord would happily do that for them, right? He is the owner, proprietor of everything, but yet for his devotees, he's ready to dance, right? For a very very small thing, right? And the Lord enjoys actually doing that. Even Mother Yashoda could bind him because of the devotion, right? Nobody can control the Supreme Lord, right? But the Lord comes under the control of his devotees. Even Prahlad Maharaj, right? When Narsingadev, when Hiranyakashipu questions Prahlad Maharaj that where is your Lord? So the Lord is now thinking, right, where will Prahlad Maharaj say that if he says, wherever Prahlad Maharaj says, the Lord has to go now, right? So Prahlad Maharaj says, yes, he is available in the pillar. So Narsingadev appears from the pillar. So we can see that the Lord gets controlled by his devotees, and this is the power of bhakti, that the Lord comes under the control of the devotee. This is a very very I would say I'm not qualified to speak all this, but this is what is mentioned here in the purport, that by devotion you can win over the Lord, and it's a, and for doing devotion you don't need any material qualification, or don't need great wealth and education or anything. It's just a simple process. If you perform that process, you can attain the Supreme Lord. So we'll move ahead. 5.3.7. Anybody would want to read the translation and purport?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Canto 5, Chapter 3, 7th Shloka. When we have engaged in your worship with many things and have offered sacrifices unto you, but we think that there is no need for so many arrangements to please your Lordship. Hare Krishna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami says that if one is offered variety of foods but has no appetite, the offering has no value. In a big sacrificial ceremony, there may be many things accumulated to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but if there is no devotion, attachment, or love for the Lord, the arrangement is useless. The Lord is complete in himself and he does not need anything from us. However, if we offer him a little water, a flower, and a tulsi leaf, he will accept them. Bhakti, devotional service, is the main way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not a question of arranging huge sacrifices. The priests were regretful, thinking that they were not on the path of devotional service and that their sacrifice was not pleasing the Supreme Personality of the Lord. God.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So again, this same point, right, is coming, that for performing devotional service or performing devotion, you don't need to do too many things, and the Lord is not expecting anything from us, right? He is Atmaram. He is self-satisfied. So offering simple things, he'll accept it, and he's pleased with it, right? Only when, if it is offered with devotion. If there is no devotion or no attachment or love for the Lord, no matter how big arrangements we make, they are all useless, as mentioned here, right? So that's the most important point here, is that we should have love and attachment for the Lord. Otherwise, whatever we do is of no use. No matter how rich you are, how great or how opulent, if there is no devotion involved, then it is of no use, right? So we'll move ahead. Uh, 5.3.8. Anybody would want to read?
Krishna Prabhuji. Hello.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Please read. Go ahead.
All of translation, all of life's goals and opulences are directly, self-sufficiently, unceasingly, and unlimitedly increasing in you at every moment. Indeed, you are unlimited enjoyment and blissful existence itself. As far as we are concerned, oh Lord, we are always after material enjoyment. You don't need all these sacrificial arrangements, but they are meant for us so that we may be benedicted by your Lordship. All these sacrifices are performed for our fruitive results, and they are not actually needed by you. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Being self-sufficient, the Supreme Lord does not need huge sacrifices. Fruitive activity for a more opulent life is for those who desire such material opulence for their interest. Yajnarthata karmano yatra lokayam karma bandhana. If we do not act to satisfy the Supreme Lord, we engage in Maya's activities. We may construct a gorgeous temple and spend thousands of dollars, but such a temple is not required by the Lord. The Lord has many millions of temples for his residence, and he does not need our attempt. He does not require opulent activity at all. Such engagement is meant for our benefit. If we engage our money in constructing a gorgeous temple, we are freed from the reactions of our endeavors. This is for our benefit. In addition, if we attempt to do something nice for the Supreme Lord, he is pleased with us and gives us his benediction. In conclusion, the gorgeous arrangements are not for the Lord's sake, but for our own. If we somehow or other receive blessings and benedictions from the Lord, our consciousness can be purified and we can become eligible to return home back to God. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. So here again, see, we have to engage ourselves in the service of the Lord, right? So as like it is mentioned here that people we do construct temples and we should do this, right? Though the Lord does not require it, but it is for our benefit that we serve the Lord, right? If we have money and we are engaging and using it for constructing a temple or doing service to the Lord, then we are freed from the reactions, right? That is the point. So doing anything for the Lord. See, there are people who can move mountains for the Lord, right? The example is Hanumanji, right? He could move mountains for the Supreme Lord. He brought the entire mountain for Sanjeevani, right? And then there are people who can do very little service, right? For example, the squirrel, right, who was just trying to put some stones for building the bridge. But we can see that the Lord is satisfied with both of them equally, right? He's equally satisfied with Hanumanji and he's equally satisfied with the squirrel. So similarly, no matter what we have, whatever is available with us, if we use it in the service of the Lord, that is good enough, right? It does not mean that only if I do this service I am great, or if I do that service I am great. Whatever small service we can do and engage in the service of the Lord, that is good enough for the Lord. He does not need our service. He is Atma Ram, as I said earlier also. But it is for our benefit, right, that we engage in the service of the Lord. He does not need our bhoga, or he doesn't need our arti, but all doing all this is for our benefit. And if we have that understanding, and then it becomes very easy to perform that, because people generally don't understand this, that whatever devotional service we do, it's for our benefit and not that the Supreme Lord needs those services, right? So and if we do the service, the most important point is we get free from the endeavors, right? Using the money we get free from the reactions of those of that endeavors, right? Of how we earn that money. So that is what is this is the great benefit we will get, right? And the priests are praying because they feel that they have actually they are feeling kind of ashamed, right? That they have invited the Supreme Lord for getting material benefits, right? So that's why they are praying to the Lord and saying that all these opulences and this yajna is not for your satisfaction. This is for our satisfaction, that we want something, and then that's why we are doing all this. So that's what the priests are praying to the Lord, right? And we'll see that further in the other shlokas. 5.3.9. Anybody would want to read?
Hare
Or
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Sunil Prabhuji. Please go ahead.
O Lord of Lords, we are completely ignorant of the execution of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, the process of liberation, because we do not actually know the goal of life. You have appeared personally before us like a person soliciting worship, but actually you are present here just so we can see you. You have come out of your abundant and causeless mercy in order to serve our purpose, our interest, and give us the benefit of our personal glory called Apavarga, liberation. You have come, although you are not properly worshipped by us due to our ignorance.
You will read the purport.
Yes, Prabhu. Lord Vishnu was personally present at the sacrificial arena, but this does not mean that he had any interest in his own personal benefit. Similarly, the Archavigraha, the deity in the temple, is present for the same purpose. Out of his causeless mercy, the Supreme Personality of Godhead presents himself before us so that we can see him. Since we have no transcendental vision, we cannot see the spiritual Satchit Anand Vigraha of the Lord. Therefore, out of his causeless mercy, he comes in a form we can see. We can only see material things like stone and wood, and therefore he accepts a form of stone and wood, and thus accepts our service in the temple. This is an exhibition of the Lord's causeless mercy. Although he has no interest in such things, in order to receive our loving service, he agrees to act as he does. We cannot actually offer suitable paraphernalia for the Lord's worship because we are completely ignorant. It was out of his causeless mercy that the Lord appeared in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Nabi. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So we can see the priest continuing their prayers here, and they are talking that they are ignorant of the execution of dharma, right? See this dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, right? This process of liberation. They don't. So if you perform dharma, that brings in artha, right? And then from artha, you use that artha and enjoy the kama. And then once you become frustrated with kama, you seek liberation. So that's what is called as the process of liberation, right? Uh, but I mean, this process is given in our shastras, and but as devotees, you need not perform all of this, right? We don't need to do artha, kama, and then we will get moksha, right? As devotees, you can transcend all this, but the priests are praying to the Lord and saying that you have appeared here only out of your causeless mercy. It's not because we have performed a great sacrifice that you have come here, right? And that's what they are saying. And again, you can see this word coming here. This is an exact opposite of the word that had come earlier. It is apavarga, right? Liberation. That was parvavarga, right? That was all about fruitive activities. And the Lord is giving the benefit of your personal glory. That personal glory of the Lord is called apavarga, right? Again, in this purport, we can see that the Lord appears before us only for our benefit. It is the Lord does not need anything from us. He's ready to even accept a form of stone and wood so that we get benefited out of it. And this is the exhibition, as Prabhupada says, of Lord's causeless mercy. And people don't understand this and think that people are wasting money in the temple, or we should not build temples, we should build hospitals, and so on and so forth. Foolish arguments are given because they don't understand this concept of that the serving the Supreme Lord is for the benefit of everybody, right? And the priests are making that point in this purport, in this shloka, that you have appeared before us because of your causeless mercy, and you don't need anything from us, right? Let's move on. Anybody would want to read this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, go ahead.
Mataji,
Anybody? Otherwise, I'll read.
I will
Yeah, I
You
can
can
read.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Prabhuji. Go ahead.
O most worshipable of all, you are the best of all benefactors, and your appearance at saintly King Nabhi's sacrificial arena is meant for our benediction. Because you have been seen by us, you have bestowed upon us the most valuable benediction.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhuji. Please read the purport as well.
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji. Sure.
Yeah.
Nija Purusha Ikshna Vishaya. In Bhagavad Gita 9.29, Krishna says, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is equal to everyone. In that sense, he has no enemies and no friends. Everyone is enjoying the fruitive reactions of his own work, and the Lord within everyone's heart is observing and giving everyone the desired result. However, just as the devotees are always anxious to see the Supreme Lord satisfied in every way, similarly, the Supreme Lord is very anxious to present himself before his devotees. Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.8, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushritam dharma samsthapanardhaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. Thus, Krishna's appearance is for the deliverance and satisfaction of his devotees. Actually, he does not advent himself simply to kill the demons, for that can be done by his agents. Lord Vishnu's appearance at the sacrificial arena of Maharaja Nadi was just to please the king and his assistants. Otherwise, there was no reason for his being present there.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. So there is a very, very important point, right? That the Lord appears only to satisfy his devotees. But nothing else, right? See, this is a very, very simple thing to understand, right? Let's assume there is a person who has 3 factories, right? Now, if there is a problem in one of his factory, what does he do? He will send somebody to get that problem rectified, right? He will not go himself, correct? But the same person, if it is his daughter's marriage, right? He will stand right at the gate of the reception, right? And welcome everybody. The reason being because he loves his daughter, right? Similarly, the Supreme Lord, right? He will not, killing the demons is very easy. Like they are like mosquitoes, right? It can be done very easily for him. That's what it's mentioned here, right? They can be killed or done by his agents. For example, to kill Ravana, Lord Ramchandra need not come, right? It could be achieved by anybody else. But in order to reciprocate with Shabri, right, he has to come himself, right? Because Shabri is waiting that when will Lord Ram come, right? Because she loves her, and in order to reciprocate with her, the Lord Ramchandra has to come. He cannot send anybody else, right? So the Lord actually appears only for the satisfaction of his devotees, only to have that reciprocation, loving reciprocation with his devotees, right? That's why the Lord appears. And we can, as I said, right, understand with this example, right? If you have a loving relationship with somebody, you will personally go and be present, right? So similarly, the Supreme Lord, who is anxious actually to present himself, right? The Prabhupada is using this word, anxious. The Lord is anxious to appear before his devotees, right? So this is a very, very powerful thing about bhakti, that the Lord becomes anxious to to see his devotees, right? And that's the only reason, because because King Nabi was a devotee of the Lord, and Lord Vishnu wanted to give his darshan to King Nabi, that he appeared in that sacrificial arena. Otherwise, there was no other reason for him to appear. Okay, let's move on. Five point 3.11. I'll read this translation. Dear Lord, all the great sages who are thoughtful and saintly persons incessantly recount your spiritual qualities. These sages have already burnt up all the unlimited dirty things, and by the fire of knowledge strengthened their detachment from the material world. Thus they have attained your qualities and are self-satisfied. Yet, even for those who feel spiritual bliss in chanting your attributes, your personal presence is very rare. Purport. The priest in the priests in Maharaj Nabhi's sacrificial arena appreciated the personal presence of Supreme Lord Vishnu, and they considered themselves very much obliged. The Lord's appearance is rare even for great saintly persons who have become completely detached from this material world and whose hearts are clean due to constantly chanting the glories of the Lord. Such people are satisfied by chanting the transcendental qualities of the Lord. The Lord's personal presence is not actually required. The priests are pointing out that the Lord's personal presence is very rare even for such elevated sages, but that he was so kind to them that now he was personally present. Therefore, the priests were very much obliged. Right? Again, they are saying the point that having your personal presence, right? See, people, I mean, you can understand this, right? Dhruv Maharaj did very strong tapasya for 6 months. That is considered to be like he attained the Supreme Lord very quickly. Correct? Then there are other examples where the devotees have performed, or somebody or a saintly person has performed tapasya to the Supreme Lord for a very, very long time, right? In order to get the darshan of the Lord. Here the priests are saying that, Lord, you have appeared before us, and we have got your darshan, and it is very rare even for great spiritual sages to have your darshan, and so we are very much blessed, and that's what they are very much obliged, and they're saying that your personal presence is very, very rare. So they are actually recounting their great fortune, that the Supreme Lord is they can personally see the Supreme Lord and offer these prayers to him, and that's what they are saying about their great fortune, that we are so fortunate that you have appeared before us, right? Again, you can see in the prayers of all the devotees, right? They consider it that the Lord appearing before them is a great benediction upon them, right? Look at prayers of Gajendra, look at prayers of Dhruv Maharaj. So every prayers in which you can see that the Lord has come, the offerings of the devotees are that, Lord, you have appeared before us, and we are greatly fortunate. So the priest also are recounting that they are mentioning that, right? 5.3.12. Anybody would want to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Please go ahead.
Yeah, translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dear Lord, we may not be able to remember your name, form, and qualities due to stumbling, hunger, falling down, yawning, or being in miserable diseased condition at the time of death, when there is a high fever. We therefore pray unto you, O Lord, for you are very affectionate to your devotees. Please help us remember your Please help us remember you and utter your holy names, attributes, and activities, which can dispel all the reactions of our sinful lives. Purport. The real success in life is Ante Narayana Smriti, remembering the holy name, attributes, activities,
and form of the Lord at the time of death. Although we may be engaged in the Lord's devotional service in the temple, material conditions are so tough and inevitable that we may forget the Lord at the time of death due to a diseased condition or mental derangement. Therefore, we should pray to the Lord to be able to remember His lotus feet without fail at the time of death. When we are in such a precarious condition in this regard, one may also see Srimad Bhagavatam 6.2.9 to 10 and 14 to 15. So, can you open, Prabhu, this connected
Yes,
verses?
yes, Prabhuji, I'll open it. Sorry, let me open it in another tab.
You can directly type over 6.2.9 to 10. That is where Hajamila's past time.
Yeah. So this is in the prayers of Ajamil. Yeah. So I'll read the translation.
Yeah.
The chanting of the holy name of Lord Vishnu is the best process of atonement for a thief of gold or other valuables, for a drunkard, for one who betrays a friend or relative, for one who kills a brahmana, or for one who indulges in sex with the wife of his guru or another superior. It is also a best method. Am I reading the correct one, Prabhuji? I think so, right? This is 6.29. Yeah. For atonement for one who murders woman, the king of his father, or the king or his father, for one who slaughters cows, and for all other sinful men. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Vishnu, such sinful persons may attract the attention of the Supreme Lord, who therefore considers, because this man has chanted my holy name, my duty is to give him protection. We'll see the other one as well, 14 and 15. Yeah. Translation: one who chants the holy name of the Lord is immediately freed from the reactions of unlimited sins, even if he chants indirectly to indicate something else, jokingly, for musical entertainment, or even neglectfully. This is accepted by all learned scholars of the scriptures. And then 15th. If one chants the holy name of Hari and then dies because of an accidental misfortune, such as falling from the top of a house, slipping, and suffering broken bones while traveling on the road, being bitten by a serpent, being afflicted with pain and high fever, or being injured by a weapon, one is immediately absolved from having to enter hellish life, even though he is sinful. So this, Roji, you want to comment on this?
Yeah, Prabhupada in the 5.3.12 only, Ante Narayana Smriti, Prabhu.
Yeah.
So all these process like, association, chanting, reading, serving, all this process ultimately it leads to Samsiddhir Haritoshanam and Ante Narayana Smriti. Anta Kalesha Mameva Smaran Muktva Kalevaram.
Yes.
Prayati Samadbhava, not that's where. So basically, every movement, Prabhupada writes in various small books. Every movement, so devotees won't waste time actually. In the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami also said this. What is that? Avyakta Kalartham. They don't waste single moment. They always using whatever time in remembering serving Supreme Lord, chanting always, whatever the service is, different services. Devotional services are dynamic, not static. So we all have to come to the regular satsangs and serving. And as you are wonderfully serving in our in our center in various aspects. So everybody, we got the opportunity of human life, and that is the goal. Goal is Ante Narayana Smriti. So if we do, of course, that's the thing. Every day, chanting 16 rounds, following 4 regulative principles, and whatever best of our capacity serve. That leads to Ante Narayan Sprit. Definitely, if we even in due to bodily discomforts, as mentioned Prabhupada in 5312, Krishna remembers us at the time of death. But from today, not from today, I mean, every time we have to remember. But at the end of the day, even though we won't be able to remember due to bodily conditions, Krishna help us to remember. Krishna is going to take care of us. Krishna is going to take us to his eternal dham, Kula Vrindavan, or various Vaikuntha planets. So that's the thing, Prabhuji. And in connection, once Prabhupada mentioned about Ajamila pastimes.
Yeah.
So he also remembered Narayana. It's not, he's remembering about his son, but not exactly Narayana.
Yeah.
But given an opportunity to continue. I mean, later he meditated upon Supreme Lord and ultimately go back to it. That's the thing. Ante Narayana Smritihi. Thank you, Prabhuji. You can add.
Yeah. So, Prabhuji, I can also remember one example of Kulashekara Alvar, right? He says that, my dear Lord, at the time of death, I may have carved path and I may not remember you. So kindly, right now I am in healthy and I can remember you. So kill me right away, kill me, so that I mean, this Ante Narayana Smriti is satisfied, right? He is, Kulashekar Alvar says this, right? That at the time of that, my body will be choked, I will be choked, my throat will be choked, and so I will not be able to remember you. But right now, I am in a very steady state. My mind is able to remember you. So kindly take away my life right away, so that I come back to you. So those are the prayers of Kulashekara Alvara, who prays to the Lord to such that he can always remember, and he can remember him at the time of death, right? So that's another example we see of a great, say, Kulashekara Alvar, who's praying to the Supreme Lord, right? Let's move ahead. I think we should go a little fast now. Is it okay, Mataji, that I stop in between, or do you want me to finish the chapter? We can
No,
continue for
Prabhuji,
10 minutes. Sorry?
yeah, Prabhuji. 10 minutes is fine.
Okay. So we'll continue for 10-15 minutes, and if something is left out, somebody can pick up next time, right? So,
Okay.
I will read this also.
Yeah, Prabhuji, go ahead.
Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th Canto, 3rd chapter, 13th verse. Translation. Dear Lord, here is the great King Nabhi, whose ultimate goal in life is to have a son like you. Your Lordship, his position is like that of a person approaching a very rich man and begging for a little grain. Maharaja Nabhi is so desirous of having a son that he is worshipping you for a son. Although you can offer him any exalted position, including elevation to the heavenly planets or liberation back to Godhead. Purport. The priests were a little ashamed that King Nabhi was performing a great sacrifice just to ask the Lord's benediction for a son. The Lord could offer him promotion to the heavenly planets or the Vaikuntha planets. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us how to approach the Supreme Lord and ask him for the ultimate benediction. He said, Nadhanam Najanam Nasundare Namba Jagadisha Kamaye. He did not want to ask the Supreme Lord for anything material. Material opulence means riches, a nice family, a good wife, and many followers. But an intelligent devotee doesn't ask the Supreme Lord for anything material. His only prayer is Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatat Bhaktir Ahaitu Gitai. He wants to be engaged perpetually in the loving service of the Lord. He does not want promotion to the heavenly planets or mukti, liberation from material bondage. If this were the case, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not have said, Mama Janmani Janmani. It doesn't matter to a devotee whether or not he takes birth life after life, as long as he remains a devotee. Actually, eternal liberty means returning home back to Godhead. A devotee is never concerned about anything material. Although Nabhi Maharaja wanted a son like Vishnu, wanting a son like God is also a form of sense gratification. A pure devotee wants only to engage in the Lord's loving service. Reward.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. So so the priests are now telling the Lord that here is King Nabi. I mean, they performed the sacrifice for King Nabi, right? So on behalf of King Nabi, they are saying that the king wants a son like you, and they are feeling ashamed. Actually, they are feeling very ashamed that that they have invited the Supreme Lord and for a material benefit, and that's why they are comparing that it's like approaching a very rich man and begging for a little grain, because they know that the Supreme Lord can give anything to King Nabi, right? He can elevate him to the heavenly planets or liberation, whatever can be obtained from the Supreme Lord, right? So uh, they are actually feeling ashamed, but since the king wanted it, so they are asking the Supreme Lord. And in the Purport, Prabhupada quotes from the Shishtastakam, right? That as a devotee we don't want anything from the Lord. I mean, for a devotee, like we are I am, at least I am not a devotee, so for us, for devotees, they don't want anything from the Lord, and that is what is mentioned in the Shishtastakam praise, na dhanam na janam, right? Nothing is needed. I only want to serve you, my dear Lord, and I don't even want liberation. uh, that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us, though it is a very, very difficult thing, but uh, that's the goal, right? Is to only obtain the service or engage in the service of the Lord, right? Let's move on. 14. Anybody want to read? Okay, I'll read it. Translation. Dear Lord, unless one worships the lotus feet of great devotees, one will be conquered by the illusory energy, and his intelligence will be bewildered. Indeed, who has not been carried away by the waves of material enjoyment, which are like poison? Your illusory energy is unconquerable. No one can see the path of this material energy or tell how it is working. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Nabi was inclined to perform great sacrifices for begetting a son. The son might be as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But such a material desire, be it great or insignificant, is brought about by the influence of Maya. A devotee does not at all desire anything for sense gratification. Devotion is therefore explained as devoid of material desires. Anya abhilashata sunyam. Everyone is subjected to the influence of Maya and entangled in all kinds of material desires. And Maharaj Nabi was no exception. Freedom from Maya's influence is possible when one engages in the service of the great devotees, right? Mahacharana Seva. Uh, Mahacharana Seva. Without worshipping the lotus feet of a great devotee, one cannot be freed from Maya's influence. Srila Narottama Das Thakura therefore says, Chhadiya Vaishnava Seva Nishtara Payeche Keba. Who has been freed from Maya's clutches without serving the lotus feet of a Vaishnava? Maya is aparajita, and her influence is also aparajita, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Devehi ishaguna mai mama maya durattaya. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. Only a devotee can surpass Maya's great influence. It was no fault on Maharaj Nabi's part that he wanted a son. He wanted a son like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the best of all sons. By the association of Lord's devotee, one no longer desires material opulence. This is confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrit, Madhya Leela 22.54. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kaye, Lava Matra Sadhu Sange, Sarva Siddhi Hoye. And Mahat Kripa Vina Kona Karme, Bhakti Nae, Krishna Bhakti Dure Rahu, Samsara Nahe Shaye. If one is serious about escaping Maya's influence and returning home back to Godhead, one must associate with a sadhu. That is the verdict of all scriptures. By the slight association of a devotee, one can be freed from the clutches of Maya. Without the mercy of the pure devotee, one cannot get freedom by any means. Certainly, a pure devotee's association is necessary in order to obtain the loving service of the Lord. One cannot be freed from Maya's clutches without sadhu sangha, the benediction of a great devotee. In Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.32, Prahlad Maharaja says, Naishyam matistavad uru karma kraman grihim sprishti anartha pagamo yad artaha mahishyam padarajo abhikshekam nishkinchinam na vrinita vyavat. One cannot become the Lord's pure devotee without taking the dust of a great devotee on his head. Padarajo abhishekam. A pure devotee is nishkinchana. He has no material desire to enjoy the material world. One has to take shelter of such a pure devotee in order to attain his qualities. The pure devotee is always free from the clutches of Maya and her influence. Hare Krishna. So the glories of a pure devotee are described, and by great fortune, right? We have our great fortune. We get association of such great devotees, right? We had the most fortunate. We were so fortunate to have association of Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji. We have so great fortune to have association of Radhesham Prabhuji. We had great fortune of having association of Maharajas who are coming to our center. Pradyumna Maharaj is coming, right? We are seeing so many great souls, and it is a great blessing to have to take association of such great devotees, and only by association and serving a great devotee we can become free from Maya's influence. And that is the prayer the priest are saying to the Supreme Lord, right? They're making this prayer to the Supreme Lord that it is not possible to get rid or can to get to overcome the illusory energy, and anybody can be conquered by it. So and only by serving a pure devotee one may, I mean, it is again, right, it is not possible to overcome, but then the influence of Maya will reduce, right? If you serve the pure devotee, you get that power and mercy of the Lord by which you can Maya will not trouble you, basically, right? So let's move on. 15th. So we'll do this last shloka and then stop, right? Anybody would want to read?
I can read, Prabhu. Is it okay?
Yeah, please. Yeah, please go ahead.
15th shloka. O Lord, you perform many wonderful activities. Our only aim was to acquire a son by performing this great sacrifice. Therefore, our intelligence is not very sharp. We are not experienced in ascertaining life's goal. By inviting you to this negligible sacrifice for some material motive, we have certainly committed a great offense at your notice. Therefore, O Lord of Lords, please excuse our offense because of your causeless mercy and equal mind. Continue with the purport, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji, the purport has very good, I mean, it's very instructive. So let's read the purport.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Oh, purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The priests were certainly unhappy to have called the Supreme Lord from Vaikuntha for such an insignificant reason. A pure devotee never wants to see the Lord unnecessarily. The Lord is engaged in various activities, and the pure devotee does not want to see him unskilled for his own sense of gratification. The pure devotee simply depends on Lord's mercy, and when the Lord is pleased, he can see him face to face. The Lord is unseen even by demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. By calling on Supreme Lord, the priests of Nabi Maharaj proved themselves unintelligent. Nonetheless, the Lord came out of his causelessness. All of them, therefore, wanted to be excused by the Lord. Shall we continue, Prabhu?
Yes, go ahead, Prabhuji, go ahead.
Worship of the Supreme Lord for material gain is not approved by authorities. as stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.16, Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritano arjuna ardo dignasuradhardi yanicha bharatarshabha. O best among the Bharatas, Arjuna. 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. Initiation into bhakti begins when one is distressed, one is in a distressed condition, or in want of money, or when one is inquisitive to understand the absolute. Nonetheless, people who approach the Supreme Lord in this way are not actually devotees. They are accepted as pious or Sukritina due to their inquiring about the Absolute, the Supreme Personality of God. Not knowing the various activities and engagements of the Lord, such people unnecessarily disturb the Lord for material gain. However, the Lord is so kind that even though disturbed, he fulfills the desires of such beggars. The pure devotee is Anyavilashita Sunya. He has no motive behind the worship. He is not conducted by the influence of Maya in the form of karma or jnana. The pure devotee is always prepared to execute the order of the Lord without personal consideration. The Ritvija, the priest at the sacrifice, knew very well the distinction between karma and bhakti. And because they considered themselves under the influence of karma, fruitive activity, they begged the Lord's pardon. They knew that the Lord has been invited to come for some paltry reason.
Hey Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. So, I mean, they are asking for forgiveness from the Supreme Lord that we have disturbed you and we have asked you to come for something very negligible, right? And that's why they feel that they have committed a great offense. So the priests are knowledgeable, right? They know the difference between bhakti and a karmic activity, right? But they are asking for forgiveness, and that this shows their humbleness, right? That the Lord, we are sorry. I mean, they are begging that forgiveness, and Prabhupada here makes a point that the pure devotees, they don't want to. I mean, they are not behind seeing the Lord, right? They have no desires, right? But the Lord is merciful, and he comes up and fulfills the desires. So the priests are sorry and feel bad, and they feel they have committed a great offense, right? So they beg forgiveness from the Lord for this, right? So we will stop here, Mataji. There are 5 more shlokas actually. There are 20 shlokas in this chapter. If you want, we can continue and close it off.
No problem, Prabhuji. If you want, it's okay. Otherwise, we can continue next week.
I'm okay, Mataji. Let's see if there are. So okay, we'll stop here, Mataji. Let it continue next week then.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, right. I'm extremely thankful and grateful for everyone who has joined, and please forgive me if I must have committed a lot of mistakes. I did not prepare well for this class, so I'm extremely sorry. But the purports of Prabhupada are really great, and every purport Prabhupada talks about bhakti. And even if you read one purport, you can understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So I'm really grateful. If there are any questions, comments, the forum is open. Please go ahead and you can go ahead and ask questions or put in comments.
Thank you, Prabhuji, so much for your time.
Thank you, Mataji. If not, let's then close the class. Thank you, everyone. Yes, sorry. Hare Krishna.
No, Mataji, so next week I'll continue from the 16th from where we left, and then
Yes.
how much I will do in the next chapter.
Correct, Prabhuji. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Happy Holi and Sankranti to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा
Pavanam
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय।
Shila Gurudev ki jai.
की जय।
Shreegopal Prabhu ki jai. Hari Bol.
हरे हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you.